Alright, everybody, this is U.S. History. This is Contract 3, Day 4. For you guys in this class, we're looking at finishing up most of World War I. World War I, in case you don't remember, is the Great War. It's also sometimes called the War to End All Wars. I like to just call it the world's first modern war. What we're going to see overall, just like before, we're looking at how the U.S. became a major world power back in the day, and you hopefully within the next few minutes will be able to better understand that, how we became a world power. World War I, several key countries throughout the world, especially Europe, were big power players. They go to war, and at the end of this war, the United States came out pretty big. That's our objective for the day. So what you should know up until this point, number one, is that World War I went for 4 years. It's 1914 to 1918, so just around 100 years ago it started. It was in Europe. It was not the whole world that fought. Sometimes people say, oh, the whole world fought. That's crazy. No. World War I takes place in Europe. The United States, us, America, we tried to stay out of the war as much as we could. We tried to stay neutral. We tried to stay to our own business, but we weren't able to do that forever. Eventually, when we were pulled into World War I, we ended up siding with England because of this, our pro-British sentiments. Pro meaning for, British, that's English people, and your sentiments, that's your feelings. Once again, when we go into World War I, we sided with England because we had pro-British sentiments, meaning we liked England. We also had strong business connections with England. For those of you who've been following along all year, that equals money. And then anti-German propaganda. In our country, we've never really been huge on loving on Germany, but we do like England. Those three things, liking the English people, having money sources coming from England, and us not liking Germany as much, that's going to lead us to side with England. As a result, we don't just side with England, we also side with England's allies, that is France and Russia, which means we are going to be against Germany, we're going to be against Austria-Hungary, and we're going to be against Italy. That's in thought. However, at that time, by the time we actually got involved towards the end of the war, Russia was already not a big player, Austria-Hungary, not a big player, Italy, not a big player. So really, it's going to be America siding with England and France against these guys, the Germans. That's what's going on. At this point, you should know, if I were to give you a map, which you definitely will see in class, you should be able to tell me England, France, and Russia against Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. You should know those big six. Those are the big six power players. Your reasons for World War I, as we've said before in class, really quickly I'll just mention, militarism, root word there is military. Big countries started building up huge militaries back in the day and flexing their muscles on each other. They were also very nationalistic. Nationalism, this idea that your nation, your group, your clique is so super important that we're going to look at that above all other things. And also your allies, making alliances. When countries build up huge militaries, start bragging to each other and talking about how great they are and having alliances, it makes a dangerous combination. We talked a little bit last time also about this guy down here, Francis Ferdinand. If you remember, Francis Ferdinand was a little guy from here, from Austria-Hungary, and while he was down here, he happened to be killed from a guy from here. Francis Ferdinand was in the royal family. He wasn't super important himself. His title, his position was called Archduke. In theory, if 3 or 4 guys in his family had all been killed, he could possibly be the king of Austria-Hungary one day. It's probably not going to happen. And while Francis is down here, a 19-year-old Russian or Bosnian gang member who was running with a gang called the Black Hand happened to kill him. As a result, Austria-Hungary wants to rush in here and get back at them, and Russia says, that's my friend. And when Russia says, that's my friend, all the friends, all the allies start getting involved. And as you see, almost like when you stack up dominoes, one country gets involved and then everyone else starts joining in. And that's basically the start of World War I. It's kind of sad. Francis Ferdinand died. He didn't do a whole lot, but he died, and his death is considered the start of World War I. As far as we know, estimates will say somewhere around 20 million young guys are going to die in this war, all triggered because of Francis Ferdinand. But really, it wasn't Francis at all. It was militarism, nationalism, and alliances. That's really what started the war. That's really what's behind it all. Francis Ferdinand is kind of that little spark, that excuse to go to war. Why was the Triple Entente formed? So if you look back, you've got the purple and the orange here. The Triple Alliance, they formed up first. Germany, Austria, Hungary, and Italy, they got together first and started clicking up and made their alliances. And as a result, you get the Triple Entente. Russia, France, and England don't especially love each other, but they get together for protection. So that's why they were formed. And then the second question here, when your alliance is formed, what's likely to happen? You're likely to see little issues like Francis Ferdinand's death trigger something else that gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Here's your picture of Francis Ferdinand, the Black Hand. Once again, aside from a really spooky sounding gang name, that's the gang that this guy was especially part of, trying to run up there and shoot Francis. Okay, we're going to skip that. In World War I, we're going to see two specific main key areas of fighting. You get fighting here in the eastern side, mainly between Russia, Germany, and Austria-Hungary. You also see fighting over here on what's called the Western Front. So you get the Eastern and the Western Front. Let me switch my pin up so you guys can see a little bit better. Eastern and Western. Both types of fighting are going to be a little bit different. The eastern side over here, this is more of your traditional warfare. One country gets together, they march in against another country. There's usually a decisive victory fairly quickly. And that's what we saw in World War I. It only lasted a handful of months. At the end of this, Russia was out, Austria-Hungary was out, and Germany came out all right. Over here in the west, however, we're going to see a different strategy. Because of those trenches that were used, and we saw a couple videos and some other things, the trench warfare is going to lead to a stalemate. A stalemate's like when you have a cats game, when there's no decisive winner, no decisive losers. And that's what's going on over here. Because they dug out trenches and didn't really go anywhere, you're going to see the war sit pretty much right here for 4 years. Once again, 1914 to 1918, that's where the war is taking place. They're stuck in the trenches, the stalemate. The stalemate, number one, because they dug a huge pit, essentially. I always think of the trenches like canals with no water in them. People are in these canals, you're stuck, you're living there, you're not going anywhere. If someone tries to rush into your trench, you've got machine guns to stop that. There's a couple of other videos that we've watched that actually show you what the trenches look like and everything. Those would be a great resource if you're not exactly sure on what was going on in the trenches. So at this point, you're going to ask yourself, why would America ever choose to get involved? Why would we even want to side with anybody? Well, the reason we got involved was because it affected our money situation. Let me see up here. Here we go. In the United States, we saw an opportunity to make some more of this stuff, some more money. What we did is, while Germany had England on lockdown, they had their submarines completely surrounding this area with England, we saw an opportunity to sell property, goods, war supplies to England. So we would fill up boats from here, and we would send all of this stuff to England. Well, when Germany finds out about that, obviously they don't like it. They tell us to stop. We didn't want to stop. We wanted to keep making money. So we tell Germany, okay, our bad. We're going to stop. We'll chill out for a little while. And then eventually when we get back to our old games, selling war supplies to England, Germany finds out and they sink our ship. Hopefully at this point you should remember this word, Lusitania. I know my handwriting's bad. Lusitania. Lusitania is the name of our ship that was sunk. Additionally, let me try this, Zimmern. Isn't that exciting? The Lusitania being sunk happened. It made us very angry. We also, through some technology, some spies and whatnot, find out that Germany has been talking to our old friends, the Mexican government, and Germany is trying to get us set up. They're trying to convince Mexico to rush up into here, to California, kind of over here in the western U.S., and wage war over here. Germany's logic here is that because we were angry about the Lusitania, we might hop in the war and help out England and France. So Germany wants to set us up with Mexico fighting. It doesn't work at all. We find out about the Zimmerman telegram. And these two things combined, not only did they sink one of our boats, which makes us angry, but they're directly trying to get us involved in a war with one of our friends. That makes it personal. And those two things combined together, it leads us to entering in the World War I. Let's see. our American citizens were torn up. We couldn't decide exactly if we wanted to go to war or not. Many Americans were all focused on isolationism, sticking to ourselves, staying out of this business. We did like England. We did have sympathy for them. We did, want to be connected with them. But that's not enough to make us want to jump into the war until that Zimmerman telegram. You should know the main causes of World War I. Once again, that is your militarism, your nationalism, and your alliances. The two big alliances were the Triple Alliance and the Triple Entente. The official start of World War I, once again, was that guy Francis Ferdinand. When he died, that was the trigger or the spark or the explosion that kind of started that chain reaction. We wanted to stay out of the war because we didn't see any reason to go to war. We didn't see anything that would really benefit from this. Even though we liked England more than the other countries, until we were directly attacked with the Lusitania and that Zimmerman telegram, we didn't see a reason to go to war. That final straw, Zimmerman telegram, when we see Mexico and Germany possibly connecting, possibly hooking up, possibly even plotting to try to invade us. That is your review for U.S. history. Contract 3, the last thing, and you'll see this going in, is when we did build a big military, we're going to look at going to institute the draft. The draft is also called conscription. For all of you young guys, you're 17, 18 years old. This is very similar to that selective service we've talked about. It's a form that you still fill out if you're an American citizen. If you have any questions, as always, you can get a hold of me here at the school. That's 486-1166. My extension is 4115. So if you want to call me, just call the school up. My extension is 4115. Or if you want to try to get a hold of me right away, you can email me. It's jpatterson@agapeschools.org. Once again, jpatterson@agapeschools.org. Otherwise, you can talk to me next time when we're in class, and I'll work one-on-one with you.